How are we doing, my fellow golf ball addicts? Welcome to the Addict, episode 5, and this is where I get to answer a lot of your questions. I'm beginning to really love this series a lot. It's just a great way to interact with the community and everything. So, I other than lives, lives are cool too because it's all happening, live, obviously. But this is also really cool. I like this. So let's dive right in. I did not allow a ton of time to get these questions, asked. So if you were a little late to the party or it didn't get answered or whatever, just ask and then it'll be covered in the next one. I actually think I did pretty much get to all of them this time, so hopefully we don't have to cut any for time. All right, so let's start at the beginning. This is from Howie 2Putt on Instagram. Vice Tour versus Wilson Boost versus Top Flight Gamer 20 Handicap. Now, the reason I brought this up, I'm going to make an example out of you, Howie, but it's out of love, I promise. I am beginning to get a lot of requests for golf ball recommendations. Email, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I'm getting like 5 or 6 a day, like no lie. I have no problem with that. But guys, golf ball fitting is so much more than I'm a 20 handicap. What should I play? I need to know your swing speed. I need to know, do you hit a fade? Do you hit a draw? What kind of course do you play? Where's your miss? Are you hitting out of bounds a lot? Where are you losing your strokes? As much information as you can possibly give me, the more the better it helps. Because again, like as an example, right? I'll use Howie as the example here. 20 handicap, okay, so obviously you need to play a two-piece most likely, so I would probably eliminate the Vice Tour. But what's your swing speed? Because the Wilson Boost is around an 87 compression. It's definitely for a mid to faster swinger. The Top Flight Gamer is more of a mid swinger, so it depends on your swing speed. If you have a slower one, I'd go with the Gamer. If you have a faster one, I'd go. There's just so many factors that come into play there, and so just in general, if anybody going forward needs golf ball recommendations, you guys are always welcome to email me, DM, whatever, but I got to have as much information as possible. I'm looking at my Instagram actually here. I'm pulling it up right now. I know there's a lot of you I haven't got to, and I'm so sorry if that's you, but if you just are like, hey, man, I'm a 27 handicap, what ball should I play? I've tested over 200 golf balls. That would take hours for me to dig into and give you all kinds of information. I just need a little bit more than that. This one is from Isaac Villafranca. I hope I said that right, sorry. Opinion on the MyGolfSpy article of Kirkland. Surprised they had positive results. So if you don't know, MyGolfSpy just released, or they're getting ready to release, a article about the Kirkland signature golf ball, talking about how, it's a decent ball, yada, yada, yada. I haven't read it. To answer the question of why, it doesn't surprise me. You got to remember that MyGolfSpy, although I do love them, their specialty is golf clubs. And the reason I say that is because, have you seen their review on the Wilson Boost? Oh, they didn't do one, that's right. How about the Wilson Zip? Oh, that's right, they didn't do one. What about the Soft Feel? Oh, that's right, they haven't done one yet. My point is that they only do the big tour golf balls, and they are all really good golfers there. They're all really fast swingers there. They're testing from a different perspective than we are here, completely, right? My philosophy, my expertise is golf balls. I've tested over 200 of them at this point. I've tested dollar ones, Chinese ones, one from Taiwan, ones from Temu, I've done so many, and I've seen golf balls that are like that. To answer the question of why they see it as good, well, of course they do. The reason they reviewed this golf ball is because they had a cajillion requests to, so of course they're going to cater to the public and do that. But also, when you've only tested 50 golf balls, and the majority of them are, $60 a dozen, of course you can look at a golf ball like, the Kirkland and go, well, wait a minute, this one's only, $1.50 a golf ball and it doesn't perform as well, but it performs pretty good. Well, yeah, this is great, yeah. But when you're like me and you've tested 200, average doesn't get it done anymore. My review on the Kirkland this year was average, but I've got a lot of average golf balls. I've got 75 to 100 average ones in here. So that doesn't mean a lot to me. And so when it comes to MyGolfSpy, again, I have a very love-hate relationship with them. I love them. I think what they do is awesome. I look at their club reviews all the time, but that is their specialty. Club reviews are by far what they are excellent at. The golf balls, I feel like they sprinkle in there just to keep the public happy. And I know they do, the round test and stuff, which is great, but they just don't look at golf balls from the same perspective or lens I do. Not saying it's wrong, just saying that, for me, I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm putting test data from an average swinger, and I'm putting it up there and showing you. And my test data has proven that Kirkland just never has really had anything to talk about. Now, this is the best Kirkland model this year. I mean, this year's Kirkland is the best I've seen. But that isn't saying a lot. You know what I mean? The ones before, the bar was very, very low. So average is the best so far, if that makes sense. All right, this one is from Kimball. 347, current gamer ball and why. Currently, lately, I've been rocking the Vice Pro just because I have a ton of them, and you know, it is what it is. I switch golf balls all the time. I'm constantly playing a different one, obviously, but that's the one I probably play the most just because I do have a lot of them, and I love the personality. I love the drip, and I love, you know, the shade, and I love, you know, those limited editions, and they look cool out there. And so, and I'm getting ready to get some alignments. I think, you know, the new tracer ones they have that are like the alignment tool. That's what it looks like right here. Love that too. So that's kind of just been my gamer lately. And I also, of course, do love the PXG golf balls. They're phenomenal, especially for my swing speed. So I'll mix those in as well. If I'm on a championship course and I need a lot of distance, I'll go to that Extreme Tour X and I'll bomb the crap out of it. This is from Mike Specht. I think I said that right, hopefully, Mike. Are you going to review the new sugar balls in the future? Loved playing last year and would love to know your opinion. Yeah, very soon. I was actually just waiting on an email from Sugar. I'd asked him some questions about the difference between the previous Pure and if there was a new one or if it was the same ball, just a different design. I finally did get that email yesterday, so I will start testing them as soon as the current testing is done. I'm actually currently testing a golf ball, and as soon as these three are done, I'll do the sugar balls, and it'll be a triple review. It'll be the 2-piece, 3-piece, and the 4-piece all in one. So really excited about that one. We'll see. You know, it's been a while, and I think, you know, after the sugar ball winning #1 2 years ago, I think we want to see if it's still relevant or not. I definitely do. All right, this is from Bruce. For my slow swing speed, 85 to 90 mile an hour with the driver, what would your top 2 3-piece value and 2-piece average spin golf balls be? Okay, I mean, there's a bunch. I mean, for the 3-piece, you know, value-wise, I mean, you're looking like Srixon Ulti-Speed, you know, Vice Air. I haven't done a full test yet, but I did some course testing with the ERC Soft, the ERC Soft from Callaway, and it was actually pretty good as well. So we'll definitely see how the test numbers come out on that. 2-piece, you know, probably something. I mean, there's a lot. Precept Laddie, MaxFly Softfly, Snell 2.0, TaylorMade Speed Soft. The Avant 55, that's kind of an underground one. I haven't tested the TaylorMade Distance Plus yet, the new version, but I do have a source that swears by them, and they've been telling me about them for a while now, so I don't know if there's any truth to that, but they do swear by them. I do trust the opinion, so we'll see on that one as well. This is from Richard L. Not sure if you've covered this already, but can you tell us the story of how you got your swing speed up, and also what you think of all those golf tip YouTube channels that are out there and how applicable they are? Are there any of those that you like in particular? Great question. We'll cover it piece by piece here. So as far as how I got my swing speed up, believe it or not, it's just from testing golf balls every day. You know, I have found that if you just put the golf club in your hand and you swing it 80 to 90 times a day, you naturally get faster at it. You really do. Now, if you're someone who can't do that every day, you can't swing 90 times every single day, you know, you can get like a swing training tool where it's a little heavier and maybe go out and do 30, 40 swings in a day and just, you get it that way. But that's going to be your best way for sure, is to swing your golf swing with something that's either lighter, heavier, and just repetition, build the muscle, build it, get more confident with it. I'm actually even a firm believer that if it's not going to mess your game up too much, you can even go get just a single club, like maybe from a flea market that has a heavier shaft in it, and just swing that. And then get used to it, and then you go back to your lighter shaft, and then you're like, oh, hey, this feels a little bit lighter, and it'll definitely increase the swing speed a little bit. But I've increased my swing speed really over the last year, probably by 10 mile an hour with the driver, and that's just from testing golf balls. I don't do anything else to do it. I'm not working out. If anything, I've gained weight. I mean, I've lost muscle. It's just from swinging the club that much. So to answer the second question, as far as the tips, it's a dangerous game. That's a great question. What I have found is that when it comes to these golf tip channels, there are some really, really good ones. I used to watch the heck out of Adam Bazalgette, Scratch Golf Academy. I love his. He's kind of an older guy, more classical style. But what I have found is that if you're going to trust someone, pick a certain style or individual and just go all in on it. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of clickbait out there. There's a lot of guys who have different opinions in golf. My mom had lessons from a guy a couple years ago, God rest his soul. He told her not to get the body involved in the swing at all. And he was a certified teacher. And he's like, yep, the body shouldn't be involved in the swing at all. Kind of weird for me, but that's what he taught. And so my point in that isn't to take a crack at him. It's just that Everyone has a different opinion, right? I'm a firm believer, what helps me a ton is making sure I keep my eye on the ball, because if I don't, I lift my head up. I had tips on this in past videos. I just watched a video the other day where the guy's like, don't keep your head down, lift your head up a little bit, and he's trying to explain why, and I'm like, this feels like clickbait. Maybe it isn't, but it's just, there's so many different opinions that if you try to take a little from here and a little from there and a little from there, it's going to kind of start to contradict itself. Don't be that way. Find someone you really like, you really trust, and just go all in on what they do and model your game after them. You know what I mean? It would kind of be like in Taekwondo having 5 or 6 different senseis. You don't. You have one sensei, you follow him from the time, you start to the time you finish, and then, that's who you're modeled after. He's your master, you know what I mean? You don't go around to 6 different ones, because then they start to contradict each other. Prime example, a buddy, a guy I work with, we had a very spirited debate yesterday on the golf course about what's more important, driver or short game, and he made all these points about strokes gained and, Scotty Scheffler and 320 versus this and that. And I'm like, listen, dude, short game is by far more important. When it comes to the average golfer, I've seen, but he made great points, I made great points, but again, it's just 2 different opinions. So if you go to him and ask for advice, he's going to tell you, hey, off the tee, off the tee, off the tee, practice it until you're blue in the face and be able to hit it 300 yards and yada, yada. I'm going to tell you to putt and chip your butt off. Not that one's right over the other, but then you start to get contradicting things and you're like, well, crap, what do I do? Find someone you like, stick with them, and just go all in. And if you find that, like, hey, this ain't working for me a few months later, it just isn't working, go to someone else. But that would be my recommendation. Great question. This is from Ranger Dog. Do you eventually think you'll have to ask for help with ball ratings, either a faster swinger or a slower swinger, since you seem to be increasing? I don't think so. My goal ultimately is to be able to swing fast enough, like at 110 mile an hour, which I'm actually almost there, to where I can test a golf ball from all 3 standpoints. I can test it from a fast swinger, then I can slow my swing down to a mid, and then I can slow it down to a slow. It's easy to slow your swing down. It's hard to rip it really fast, because you lose accuracy and you lose. That's difficult. But I could also always ask my mother for help. She swings relatively slow. So for seniors and stuff like that, that would be a great way to do it. She only takes half swings also. So that's something I could do. But my goal is eventually to be able to test the ball from all 3 standpoints. And that would be really cool. So we'll see when that happens. But the way my swing speed's going, I think in a year I could possibly hit it. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. This is from Eric. How do the Srixon ulti speed and the Members Mark compare? Well, they really don't. The ulti speed is going to end up as like a top 10, top 20 ball. Members Mark is going to be pretty low. The big problem with the Members Mark is it's very soft. It is consistent. It is accurate. But it spins so ridiculously much that it balloons and comes back almost away. I mean, you lose like 10 yards because it spins so much. So, the ulti speed's more like a rocket launcher. It spins great, but I'm gaining 10 yards off the tee, just ridiculous. And then, the Members Mark is more, hey, you're going to lose some distance, but hey, it has phenomenal spin and you're not spinning a lot. So 2 totally different golf balls. The ulti speed's going to win that battle 9 out of 10 times for sure. Todd C. Hey, Todd, good to see you. Long time subscriber to the channel. Long time. Dumbest thing you've ever seen someone do with a golf cart in your time working at the golf courses? 2-part question. What was your favorite used golf item purchase? Okay. So let's start with the first one, the golf cart one. When I was at Cabot, I've seen so many. People would get drunk and snort lines and just it's a party place. It's a place where people come from all over the world to party and have a weekend away. So yeah, I saw a lot of drug use and alcohol abuse for sure. Guys stole our carts, our 4-seaters and 6-seaters. Guys would hop in them and go joyriding, and we'd have to call security. I saw people. One time, a guy, I'll never forget it. We were in the parking lot. And we're up at the backdrop and the podium, and I just look over to my right, and this guy kind of whips around and tries to do a 360, and he had been kind of drinking a little bit. Cart just completely flipped and landed on him. I had to run over and lift the cart over him, and I saw that. I did see guys crash carts into trees. Here's the fun thing, right? Golf is kind of fun because, yes, you can technically drink and drive, and I get that. You can be buzzed and drive because you're driving a golf cart. I get that. But I need you guys to understand that you cannot get blasted and still drive a golf cart. You can't be blackout and still drive one, because that's not how it works. You know what I mean? First of all, never drink and drive. Buzz driving is, drunk driving. Please don't ever do that in a car. But when it comes to a golf cart, my God, a little buzz driving a golf cart, you might be able to get away with it. You're on a golf course. You're not going to kill anybody. You might, might get injured or something, but that's your fault if you injure yourself. Yeah, guys would get just sloshed, eyes rolling in the back of their heads, and, they're crashing into trees, and they're like, oh, I thought I was good to drive. And it's like, stop it. So anyway, I did see a guy one time get mad. We had GPSs in the carts at Cabot, and he did get mad and break the GPS screen. I don't know if he hit it with a club or he threw his club, but he hit it and then tried to blame us because he was just blackout drunk again. But he tried to blame us and stuff. And he actually said the course was so difficult, it was our fault that he broke the screen. It was a bold strategy, Cotton. It did not pay off. The second part of that question, my favorite, secondhand item I bought as far as golf was my Callaway Mac Daddy 4 wedge. Loved that thing, used the heck out of it, got comfortable with it, became an elite short game player with it. And I still have really good short game today because of it. I really hated to give it away when I did, but it was just time. It had been 4 years, and it was a used club, so it is what it is. Loved that thing. Really did. That thing, I'll remember. That should go in the Golf Ball Addict Hall of Fame for sure, because it made me the chipper I am today, by far. Wedge game's phenomenal because of it. As far as the used golf item game, though, I will say you got to be careful. I bought a set of Ping i500 irons one time and was just so excited, got a good deal on them. Started using them, wasn't that impressed, went to trade them in. Sorry, we can't take them, they're fake. Gotta be careful with that. There's a lot of fakes out there now. Temu and Wish and stuff. I mean, it's a big industry, so be careful with that. This is from Jeff. Could the Wilson boost and the profile be the same golf ball? I like where your head's at because that's not uncommon. There's a golf ball, it's no longer in production, but the Q-Star and the AD333, same golf ball, but one's for, England and, Europe, and the other one's for here. So that does happen a lot. I don't think the boost and the profile are the same, just because I've played with both and I've experimented both, and I don't get the numbers with the profile that I get with the boost. Now, don't get me wrong, the profile has some good numbers. I like it. It's a good golf ball, but nothing like the boost where I'm gaining 7-8 yards off of every single It's just insane. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're the same golf ball, but your head's in a good spot, and that does happen more than you think. This is from Jeff. Have you used AI to help you with anything golf related? What problem could you solve? I've thought about this. AI is kind of a weird spot for me, right? Because the big one is I go to buy all these clubs or I go to look and see what we have. Everything's all AI now. And as far as I'm concerned, it's just mumbo gumbo. Like when a golf club tells me like, oh, it has an AI face times 10. What does that even mean? Like, because AI can be either really cool or it can be really dumb, right? Because I've seen AI where it's like, oh, hey, we made a whole TV show in 15 seconds. That's cool. But I've also seen AI where my buddy has a picture, of his family and he says, hey, make it look like a party invitation. And all it did was add one balloon. And it's like, no, more party stuff. And then a second balloon comes up and you're like, what? You know what I mean? So like, what does that even mean? You used AI to create the face. Cool? Like, I just don't see that and I go, oh my goodness, AI will... Credit card on the table. I just think like, okay, what does that mean? Like, is the AI good? Because now at this point, every club manufacturer is like, hey, I have AI. So what makes your AI different than his AI? As far as helping with a golf swing, I think for putting it would be really good because putting is so mechanical and it's so angles and it's so weighting and it's so... A golf swing's a little different because like I've seen guys had the weirdest golf swing and they still hit the ball straight. There's a lot of ways you can do a golf swing and still make it work. But like putting, it's all gotta be... And if it's not, so I think putting would be pretty cool, but I'm still kind of iffy on it. I do use AI for like some of my thumbnails and stuff. If you ever see, the picture I just did, the thumbnail for the Laddie and the boost where the rocket ships in the background, that was pretty cool. I just went to ChatGPT and literally was like, hey, I want a scenic golf hole with a rocket launching in the background, and that's what it came out with the first time. That's cool. So I do like that. I do use AI for my channel a little bit. It's handy. It helps a guy who's just working on his channel by himself. It helps him a lot and saves a lot of time. This is from Jerome. What did you do with your Vice clubs? When the review dropped, I thought it was a joke, like maybe you use Nitro for the numbers. Love your reviews, but you made them sound like garbage. Well, I mean, garbage might be a little bit of a strong word, but yeah, they're not good. They're not. I am still really hurt over those clubs. It's not a fake review. It's definitely a real review, and I sold them on eBay. I flat out that night. I mean, that night I tested them. I sold them on eBay. I was done. You know, this happens with golf balls. It happens with golf clubs. It happens with everything. You can think something's really, really good, but unless you put data behind it and compare it to a bunch of other factors, you don't know if it's really good or not. I mean, you can play with bad stuff and do really well. I've got a buddy who uses an iron set from the 70s and he still fires, single digits. Would he perform better with a newer set? I firmly believe so. I firmly believe so, because you can't tell me the technology as far as the forgiveness and everything. I mean, we're talking like 50, 60 years at this point, but that doesn't mean he still can't play because he has the confidence. Same thing applies here, right? I put those clubs to test data. I did pitching wedge. I did 7-iron. I did the wedges. I have a $300 Adams idea set that just absolutely kicked the crap out of it. I mean, beat it down, Vices, please, no. And the Adams just, I mean, you know what I mean? So yeah, I had to get rid of them. There was no way. I thought they were great. I loved them. But when you put data next to data, it isn't. I didn't use a nitro ball. I used the Legato, like I said in the review. I did. Or no, it was the Legato, because I just done a test on it and I just had fresh numbers. But yeah, no, they're just not good. They're really not. And then after the fact, once that review dropped, I found out that MyGolfSpy called those wedges the worst wedges they had tested. If you go to their rankings, you have to go to page 2, but like it ranked 24th, 21st, and almost everything. And so, unfortunately, that's just how it is. They look great. And then I even had some people reach out via email and they said, hey, saw your review. Just want to let you know I work at a golf fitting place. We did a testing, at the beginning of this year where we had a fitting day. They were by far the worst. Like nobody bought any because they just didn't, and I had a couple people email me that. So, again, I understand you might be a little butthurt by it too. I know I still am, but the numbers didn't lie. Those clubs just aren't very good, unfortunately. And until I see data that proves otherwise, we'll go forward. But, otherwise, I got to see some real testing from a trusted source. This is from JG. Favorite sports outside of golf? Favorite team? I'm such a sports lover, and you guys have probably seen like videos and stuff where I've showed some of the sports room. There's so many sports that I love. It'd be easier for me to tell you the sports I don't like. I'm an avid basketball watcher, baseball watcher, football watcher, golf watcher. I'll watch a tennis major occasionally, as long as it's a major. I love that too. As far as sports teams, anything Tampa, that's where I live. So your Buccaneers, your Lightning, Tampa Bay Rays, all that great stuff. And then I'm from Missouri originally, so I'm a big St. Louis Cardinal fan. St. Louis Blues I still support. I was a huge St. Louis Rams fan, but once that whole NFL thing happened, whatever, and they moved to Los Angeles, I kind of cut that, so I don't support them anymore. I have family in Arlington, Texas, who have a long history with the Rangers, so you'll probably occasionally see me wear a Ranger hat. I like the Texas Rangers. Big Los Angeles Laker fan, have been since 2001, Kobe Shaq era, never quit watching them ever since, so love that. Also an Orlando Magic fan because they're the closest basketball team we have, so I support them. My goodness. I mean, yeah, I love sports. I really do. I've gotten to a point where now I'm old enough to where I try not to be, I used to be a super fan. At Rams games, I used to be the guy wearing the Ram helmet, and Ram pajamas and Ram, slippers I had. I've tried to get away from that only because I would get so upset at the sports that it would cause stress. And now I try to just watch it for the beauty of it. Right now I'm watching the finals and you got Pacers and Thunder, two small market teams, a young team that has like no A players, they're all B and they're just playing great. I'm watching it and I'm just kind of standing back admiring. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just like, this is great. And I like watching sports like that now too as I get older. So yeah, big sports guy. If any of you ever want to talk sports, you let me know. All right, so this is from Brick 2065. Sorry if I butchered that. So Ian Fraser recently posted a video that showed the same ball, white versus yellow, perform measurably different as if they were different designs almost. Ever thought of measuring this among different golf balls? I have thought about it. I've experimented with it a little bit. What I have found, and this is not conclusive, it would need more testing for sure. What I have found is that if you're a very fast swinger and a very, very, very good golfer and you are pushing golf balls to their limit, yes, there's a difference between the two. I've seen stuff where like the yellow one went 3 yards shorter or something like that. MyGolfSpy had an article on it a couple years ago. What I have found for the average golfer is there's not much difference. Just because, you know, you're going to miss hit some, you know, some off the toe, some a little inside, maybe a little bladey, and you just don't, by the time you add up all the averages, you just don't see much of a difference. And that's been my experience so far. Again, does it need more testing? Absolutely. But that's what I've seen so far. You know, obviously the better of a golfer you get, the more you might see the difference. But, you know, I don't know. I've got guys I know who are extremely talented golfers that play with yellow, and they say there's no difference. Now, obviously, they don't test data. I get that, but, you know, we'll see. It might be marginally minimal. It is a good idea, though. I might do it later in the year when I have some time. This is from 3N2A2. Might be a different name, but that's just the username. You have one ball, year and model to play for the rest of your life, 105 or whatever max speed. Now until you croak, what do you pick? Vice Pro. Just because, one, they always come out with limited editions. You know, like the Galaxy this year is really cool. You know, all kinds of really cool different designs. I can always mix it up. You know, if I want to go wide, I can. If I want to go drip, I can. If I want to go, you know, lime, I can. I can do whatever I want there, and plus the performance is just top tier, and it's just awesome. You know, PXG would be up there on my list, but they only have the one design, and so I would eventually, I got to switch it up. I'd get tired of it. The fact that if I had to choose one, Vice always is coming out with, you know, the Masters Limited Edition and the Jack Bear Limited Edition. You know, I love that kind of stuff, and I'd still be able to play it, so... and then actually there's a second question from the same user. This is a good one. How many strokes do you think can be gained lost via ball selection? If a ball feels okay chipping and putting, I think I will shoot the same score with just about anything decent. And it's in the top 50. Swing and weather variance a big factor. I use trajectory more than spin. I also have to bounce balls, hard greens. All good stuff. We should also have a tourney where you play a different ball every hole. You get 18. That's actually kind of a fun idea. So this is where, you know, and I haven't shared this that much with you guys, but this is where, like, you haven't even understood how much golf ball fitting comes into play. For me, when I look at what golf ball I'm going to play, the first thing I look at is, okay, weather. Is it raining? Is it hot outside? Is it cold outside? What's the temperature? Is it a nice day, 70 degrees? Is it really hot? That will all factor what golf ball I use. Then we get into... okay, what course am I playing? Is this course tight? Is this course big and long? I played a course on Saturday where I hit 5-iron off the tee pretty much the whole round. The fairway was 20 yards long, and then once you got past the fairway, it was woods. It was just an extremely tight course. There was no room for air. So if you didn't hit 5-iron off the tee, there was a good chance you were out of bounds. I don't need a golf ball that has a lot of side spin on a course like that. I want a nice, forgiving two-piece, keep it straight, keep it long, keep it simple. Because if I do that, I'll eliminate those penalty strokes. And so that's where I really don't need a lot of greenside feel. But then there's courses like Cabot where, you know, the greens are just massive and, you know, the fairways are massive. Yeah, I'm going to get a 3-piece or a 4-piece. I'm going to absolutely waylay it. I don't care if it goes a little in the rough. I'll play it out of the rough. I'm a decent rough player. No big deal. But that's very important. What course you're playing, how the greens are they firm? Are they soft? Do you need the extra spin? Do you not really need a lot of spin? That all goes into it. Now, to answer the question of how much it affects your score, I'm a firm believer that 5 to 10 strokes. I really do. I mean, I think if someone just picks up a random golf ball and says, yeah, sure, I'll play with this. I don't know what it is. And then you have a guy that really put that thought into it and plays with something they're comfortable with and fits the course and fits the day. Yeah, I mean, because you got to understand, if you have 3 out of bounds, if I had not played a 2-piece golf ball and I had not hit 5-iron off the tee, that could be 4 or 5 strokes just from penalty alone. So, I mean, absolutely, we're talking about 5 to 10 strokes. It's a very, very big deal. I do get in arguments with people who swear it's just 1 or 2 strokes max. I disagree with them 100%. All right, this is from Tony's and some numbers. I am a senior golfer with a swing speed of 80 and 75. Excellent, okay. Which ball fits me best? Vice Tour, Srixon Multi-Speed, or Q-Star Tour? Well, the Vice Tour is going to be a no-go. It's definitely a firmer golf ball. It's in the 90s compression. It's very clicky, so no. But the Srixon Multi-Speed and the Q-Star Tour are both probably able to be used. I don't know if they're optimal, but both of those two you could make work depending on your swing speed. So both of them are great. I haven't tested the Q-Star Tour regular. I'm getting ready to, so we'll see on that, but the Multi-Speed's awesome. All right, this one is from Sasquatch. For the mallet putter, can you please go back to a steel mallet? Maybe only bust out the wood for really good rollers. You know, yeah, I don't mind that. I ended up in a position where I just had to use the wood putter this year. I don't mind buying a steel one for next year, so it is what it is. I like to switch it up anyway, just to have different test results, you know, because you test the same balls a lot of the time every year. So yeah, I'll probably go back to steel next year. Second part of the question is, what happened to the Vice irons? You should try the Sub 70 for $20. You can get a demo set. I've had conversations with Sub 70 and haven't been able to work anything out yet, but we'll see. I do like Sub 70. I sold the Vice irons, like I said earlier. Sold them on eBay the second I could, you know. Is the Let's Play Through collab ever going to happen? I would love for that to happen. I have brought it up to Gabe a couple times. I know he's a very busy man. He's also very successful. When I first brought it up to him, he was at 75,000 subscribers. Now he's at 120. Hey, he might be too famous for me now, but I will say this. He's a very busy guy. I get that. I do give him grace there. But the ball's in his court. Anytime he is down for a collab, I'm 100% there. If you guys really want it to happen, which I do, but if you guys are probably going to have to kind of push that over the edge, go to his channel, tag me, just tell him in the comments, say, hey Gabe, we want to see this. And if a lot of you do it, maybe he'll revisit it, and maybe we will. I would love for that to collab to happen. I think it would be awesome for both parties and just for everyone in general. And plus, you know, we both live in Tampa, so or Tampa area, so it just makes sense. But yeah, I've always been very, very excited for that. I hope it does happen one day. This is from Seth Vigilance. Cheaper ball that actually spins around the green and doesn't fly off the putter face, around $30-ish. Vice Pro Air, Wright & Ditson, Legato, Srixon Ulti-Speed, Lazarus L3R, MaxFly Series, almost any of them. Seed SD Series, almost any of them. Snell 3.0, the Cut DC, the Cut Gray, Encore Elixir, the Lobby Pure. I know that's a lot of golf balls, but I have reviews on all of them. Check them out in your free time. This is from Mark Henderson. Was gaming the Vice Pro Air, but found myself in a pinch and picked up the Wilson Triad. I've lost about 5 yards off the tee. Any idea why? I imagine the majority of that would be because of spin. You got to remember, when it comes to golf balls, if a golf ball does spin about 300 to 400 RPM more, you'll lose about 4 or 5 yards. I mean, you sacrifice that. That's why it's kind of redundant when people are like, hey, I need a golf ball that goes really far and also spins a ton. It's like, no, it doesn't really exist. Like, the whole point of a distance golf ball and a distance golf club, like a player's distance iron, is that they take spin off to get more distance. And so it's very difficult to find something that does both. It occasionally, rarely does happen, and those are the golf balls that get into the top 10, top 5, but it's so rare. This is Eric Kenny, Boost versus Pro V1, which is hilarious because it's the cheapest golf ball in the market versus like one of the most expensive. I am currently testing the Pro V series, the 2025, so that'll be the next review in a couple days. We'll see how it goes, but the big problem there is that, you know, you have to base stuff based on expectations and, you know, value. So like when I look at a golf ball that's $10 a dozen, I'm like, I don't know, is it going to have any good numbers? And then you go, oh, wait a minute, #1, that's incredible. But then, like, you look at the Pro V1 and you're like, oh man, almost $60 a dozen after tax. And you're like, well, it better be the best golf ball ever. And then if it has an average performance somewhere, you're like, what the heck, man? That's only good with the 7-iron? I was expecting perfect. And so that's where being so expensive gets you into trouble. But it's the harsh reality of it. It does make sense. It's a fair assessment. Like, if I'm paying $100,000 for a car, it better have features that make it $100,000. If I can go out and get a $30,000 Kia and it has all the same features and a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, I need reasons why I'm spending $70,000 more. I mean, that's how any product is, no matter what it is. You know, I mean, come on. This is from ES and some numbers, but yep, very active on the channel. Thank you. I think your efforts on this channel are a big asset. Thank you very much. I appreciate that I've done so much for you, sir. That's awesome. What inspired you to create this channel, and did you ever think you would have such an impact on us ball chasers? So what inspired me to make the channel was the fact that nobody reviews golf balls the way I thought they should have. And even to this day, I don't think anybody does. I got back into golf heavily in 2018, and the first thing I wanted to do is, I'm a big guy that wants to try everything. You know, if you give me, you know, if you say, hey, which candy do you want? I'm like, I want all 10 of them, and I want to try them and see which one's best. That's how I was with golf balls, and, you know, I couldn't really do that because I'm like, okay, you know, I'd go to Walmart and I'd look, and out of 10 golf balls at Walmart, you couldn't even find a review on 9 out of 10 of them. I mean, you couldn't even find it, and then you'd get to a really expensive one and you'd see it, And, you know, it's the big fallacy, and people still do this, and it drives me nuts. I watched a review the other day where a guy did this on a newer ball, and it just drives me bonkers. But, you know, they're like, hey, we're reviewing the blankety-blank ball. All right, well, let's put it down and let's hit it. Oh, that felt good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's good. Guys, this feels good. Yeah, now let's putt with it. Guys, that feels good. Yeah, that tells me nothing. I mean, that tells me absolutely zip. And I understand my greenside performance. It is me trying to just rattle off and tell you guys feel and click and sound and this. But there's a lot more to it than you know. I mean, my reviews are 20 to 30 minutes for a reason. I am doing a deep dive into this to try to give you data and comparative numbers and really find out, is it good for you? Is it bad for you? And no one does that. And so when I saw that, I had a degree from Electronic Media Productions. I had, you know, schooling on YouTube and SEO. And I just legit was like, wait a minute, this might be my avenue. So dived into it, and here we are forever. Did I ever think I would get to this point? Not really. I mean, honestly, like, my big goal in this was to just get to a point where I had extra golfing money. I was like, man, can you imagine if I make like 200 or 300 bucks a month and I could just like buy maybe some nice golf balls or maybe like a nice golf set or something. But because the channel's been so great and I've been so blessed and you guys have been so awesome, now it's almost my full-time job. And by the end of this year, it probably will be. And that's really something special. So thank you. This is from Jason Southall? I probably butchered that. I'm sorry, Jason. What do you think about 7 woods? I don't think you need that many in your bag. I mean, I just think one, like 2 or 3 would be fine. I'm just kidding. 7 woods, you know, are great. You know, I'm a hybrid guy, but everyone's different. Having those woods in your bag is great because they're also nice to tee off with. That's what a lot of people don't understand is if you get on a tighter course where, you know, driver is just too sporadic, I tee up my 3 wood a lot. And so, again, you know, you only need like 200 yards, you know, 190 depending on your swing speed, whatever. You can tee up a 7 wood and get a nice, you know, high ball flight. You don't have to change your swing. You don't have to do the swing up with the driver. You can hit down on it. It's a big thing, and it's very underrated. A lot of golfers don't understand how important that is, so I like them a lot. Dustin Little, best public course you've played and why? Best public course would be Cabot. You know, I got to see it when it was built, and I got to see it when it was pristine, and I got to see it, you know, Carew is my favorite. The Roost is okay to me, just not my cup of tea. I love their short courses too. The Wedge, the night course, the par 3, I love that. And I also love the Squeeze, which is the 11-hole short course. Super nice, and I have a lot of memories there. I'll always cherish them, so that'll always be my favorite public course. This is David. I was the guy that asked about whether changing golf equipment so often has anything to do with people like Rory going back to previous versions of club that work better. Do you think that all high handicappers should use high launch clubs? My wife has improved tremendously. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so I don't really see a question with the Rory thing. I mean, people go back and switch to old clubs and old putters. It does work. You know, sometimes, I mean, club fitting is important, and sometimes you just get a club. You know, Ricky Fowler had those irons that were like this wide, and he hit them. No one could hit them. Every review I saw, they were like, I can't hit them. And they were like, oh, man, this is crazy. I must not be a good golfer because I can't hit these. Well, I got news for you. Ricky couldn't either, and that's why it's just ridiculous. You know, get something with forgiveness. But, yeah, it's definitely something that you can go back and play an older model. You know, sometimes it just doesn't work. You know, I had a Mizuno set that I got fitted for and just never really got going with them. Never really clicked, you know, and it is what it is. A lot of people love them, and that's great. For me, it just wasn't for me, you know. As far as the high launch thing, yeah, I mean, high launch clubs are really nice, especially for high handicappers. They really are powerful. They have a lot of, you know, bouncy ball into them, and they're forgiving as all get out, and they get nice and high in the air. I love them. Tommy Recyclants. I might have butchered that, I'm sorry. You work at a pretty prestigious golf course. What's your role there? Have they been supportive by the channel, or have they put restrictions on things you had to do or not to do? So I don't work at Cabot anymore. I haven't since the end of January, but I do work at a private Pete Dye course now, which is also a very beautiful course. I love that course. To answer your question about my role there, I was hired as one of the first 3 GSAs, you know, guest service attendants. Worked my way up to supervisor within about a month and a half. Wanted to be there. You know, was there for over a year, and then went back down to part-time. Just a lot of stuff there. I'll tell that story one day, but today's not that day. And then you know, ended up having to leave, unfortunately, and I'm happy where I'm at now. I'm glad I left. It's really unfortunate. I wanted my legacy to be there. I wanted that to be a 30-year job, even if it was part-time, even if I was doing this full-time. I wanted to be able to look back and tell people, oh yeah, I was there when it opened. You know, and I still can, but, you know, it's just different. You know, I was hoping to be there, but as far as, you know, my role with the social media and this channel, they weren't unsupportive, but I don't know that they were supportive, because when the course opened up, I was pretty vocal about like, yeah, you know, I have a YouTube channel. Maybe I'll get my, you know, I'll get some cameras out here and I'll do this and that. And they were like, yeah, I don't know. They're like, maybe just come to work, you know, and maybe just provide that great service you do. And I'm like, oh, okay, not ready for influencers yet. And they're like, well, yeah, maybe not. Like, oh, hey, Rick Shields, come here. You're going to film everything's free. Everything's for you, buddy. We love you. You know, oh, Grant Horvat, come on, baby. We love you. Like, we had hundreds of influencers come. And meanwhile, I'm just standing there, you know, in my uniform, hands behind my back, you know, just, hi, how's it going? Hi, you know, and it's cool to get to meet all those people. But then you're like, hey, you know, can I come to the... No. You're fine, Nick. Your channel's too good for us. You know, and it just... They didn't say that, but it's just... That's what it felt like. It felt like they never really wanted me to come there and be a part of that. I'm sure they wouldn't have minded if I'd went and filmed and done stuff, but they definitely weren't like, oh, yeah, of course. You have a channel? Of course. Yeah, anything you need, let me know. That would have gone a long way. And that, I'll tell you something. If you have a business or you're a manager in life or whatever, you're a leader... The best thing you can do for people who work underneath you is make them feel like they're valued and like they actually matter at your company. And that can be really small. Something as simple as if Cabot had just looked at me and said like, oh, you have a YouTube channel? Well, yeah, you should get out here and film sometime. In their mind, they could be thinking, this guy's probably a nobody, you know, he probably sucks. I mean, I hope, whatever. We might have to like, you know, hopefully we'll have to like make him send us the video before, whatever. You can think whatever you want. But just that one line would have really made me feel like, okay, they support what I'm doing and I matter, and that's awesome. You know, little things like that. It goes a long way. It makes people feel like they want to be there. You know, even just simple stuff, this is kind of off topic, but even just simple stuff like, you know, like, hey man, you're doing a good job. Like, hey, oh, hey, you know what? I saw the range last night. You did a great job. Keep that up. Little stuff like that is the difference between keeping employees long term and, oh man, I don't feel appreciated here. I think I'm going to go start job searching. Makes a difference. I'll just say that. Not that it's related to Cabot anyway, you know. This is from Joey Jojo Jr. Can you give me a discount at Cabot? Not anymore because I don't work there. Also, when is the Q-Star Tour review coming? Soon? It's coming. It's coming very soon. It'll probably be 3 or 4 reviews from now. I'm just trying to find some stuff to pair it with to test, but it'll be coming. I promise. I know there's been a million requests for it. I will have it. I promise. It's got to be up there. This is from Ian Wayopt. I'm sorry, I probably butchered it. Favorite course to play? How did you get into golf? My favorite course is the current course I work at. It's a private Pete Dye course. I'm sure if you just Google, you can figure out which one it is, but it's Southern Hills Plantation Club, and it's beautiful. And I'll tell you what, they do an amazing job of keeping it in great shape. Even right now, we have a big fungus issue in the area. They've done an amazing job with it. If it looked like crap right now, I would give them every excuse and say, you know what, hey, I understand. But no, it looks great. It just... You know, they just aerated, but you got to do that. So I think it's just been a phenomenal job, and I love the course I work at, and it reminds me of home. It's the only course in Florida I've ever played where I get on it and I see the hills. It's called So Hilly is the nickname, and I see these trees all over in the hills, and I just think this reminds me of Missouri, and I'm like, I love this, and so that's how I fell in love with it. I got into golf when I was like 5 years old, 4 years old, can't remember how, but then my grandfather took me all the time, and you know, just went from there. You know, we went all the time, and I played, you know, through I was 8 or 9 years old, loved it, and then, you know, took breaks here and there, you know, throughout, played in middle school, played in high school a little bit here and there, but once I moved to Florida, it was full throttle, baby, and now it is an everyday part of my life. Howard Bands. Any 3-piece ball that you'd recommend for a high handicap? Not really. If you're a high handicap, you need to stick to 2-piece, and you need to stick to something that it has a little bit less side spin, more forgiveness. Because you got to remember, 2-piece golf balls now spin pretty close, and in fact, some cases more than 3-piece. I have a bunch of 2-piece golf balls that are spinning 8,300 RPM on a 50-yard pitch. You don't need more than that, I promise you. So I would definitely stick to 2-piece. Again, 2-piece ball that plays like a 3-piece. You don't need it to play like a 3-piece. You know, that's a big fallacy. A lot of people really think that they need greenside checkup, and they don't. You know, the difference between checkup between a lot of golf balls is only, we're talking feet. You know, some are different, there are exceptions, but we're talking feet. You don't need a golf ball as a high handicapper that stops on a dime. The reason for that is that if you get a golf ball that, let's say, has 25% spin, right? It has 25% spin if you hit it perfect. If you mishit it, it has 20% spin, meaning that regardless of whether you mishit it a little bit or whether you hit it pure, you hit your spot, it's going to have a nice firm release toward the hole, and you're going to get close. It's going to shave strokes. If you have a golf ball that spins 70%, let's just say like the Srixon Z-Star I just tested, it was 90%. It was crazy. If you pure hit it, it's 90%. It goes boom, boom, and it stops. But if you plan on that stoppage being there, if you hit it close to the hole and expect it to stop by that hole, but you mishit it a little bit, and instead of 90% spin, you get 60, rolls past the hole now. And I see that a lot. I see that a lot in high handicap golfers where you mishit that a little bit, you might duff it a little, get a little behind it, you're not going to get that spin and check up anyway, and then what happens is you were accounting on it to check up, now it's across the green. Find something that has really good consistency. Most golfers do not need something that stops on a dime or rips back to them. If you do, then you're not at a high handicap. At that point, you're a low handicap. So that would be my recommendation. This is Gav Husnell? I can't. Oh, I hope so. What is the best? Oh, yeah. I think you emailed me this too, buddy. So hopefully I'll answer it here. What is the best alternative to the Pro V1X? I do not like that golf ball. It's very unforgiving. One of the most unforgiving golf balls ever. But we'll see how the new one does. We'll see. You know, again, first thing I ask you to do is make sure that is the best golf ball for you. Make sure you are a faster swinger. Make sure you are a lower handicap. I mean, if you tell me you're a 17 handicap, bud, you don't need to be playing it. I'm just telling you, you don't. Like, you got to find something else. But if you are a lower handicap, you are a faster swinger, there's the Vice Pro Plus, the Wright & Ditson, Snell 4.0, the Seed SDO2, the PXG Tour X, the Cut DC, the Srixon XV, possibly. I didn't have great test numbers with that, but I also don't swim fast, or swing fast. Excuse me, I don't swim fast either. But that would be my recommendation. This is from Taco Truck. Do you use a lob wedge? I do. The wedge I use out for greenside testing right now, the Adams Idea, it's a lob wedge. And I will use one on the course if I need height to kind of flop it a little bit, but I don't get as much spin. You gotta remember, a lob wedge will not get as much spin as a sand wedge a lot of the time because you don't compress it as much. So I usually, if I need spin, will use my sand wedge, but the lob wedge comes out if I need a nice high flight and just kind of and just let it stop where it is. This is from Mark. This will wrap it up. What is the ultimate snack at the turn? This is probably the best question. So ultimate snack at the turn. For me, I don't do a lot of snacking at the turn just because most of the time we're trying to keep the pace of play up and stuff, but there is one particular golf course that has a big fat hot dog for $3. And we love it. It's our favorite part of the round there. You know, you can get in and play the course. It's not a great course, but it's a decent public course. It's a muni. And, you know, you get in for like $30 in the afternoon for 18 holes in a cart. And a $3 hot dog, you load it up with onions, mustard, hot sauce, whatever I can put on that thing, it's on there. You scarf it down as fast as you can. It's just part of the experience. I love it. Someone introduced me recently during the summer months to cold candy bars. I had never, ever really tried cold candy bars, but if you get like a Snickers or a Kit Kat or whatever chocolate that's been in the freezer or refrigerator, but preferably freezer, man, on a hot day, something like that really hits. I mean, it really does. It's hard to chew, but man, it's just so refreshing because it's so cold in your mouth. Love that too. I also like a beer at the turn just to kind of do a reset. I don't drink a lot, but sometimes I'll do a beer on, you know, the turn just to kind of like, you know, if I'm having a bad round or whatever, I just want to reset, relax the muscles, get back on the right track. Great question. All right, guys, we kept it under an hour. Just under an hour, but still, great questions. I appreciate you. I hope you guys like this content. There was some great questions here. If I didn't get to yours because it was late or whatever, I'll get to it the next time, but don't be afraid to ask it again when I ask, you know, for the next round or whatever. It'll definitely get answered, or you can email it to me and I'll answer it there. As always, keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. Love you guys. See you soon.